second day and the last day of our conference. Our sessions today about vitamin D, bone, and some other endocrine dyslipidemia and polycystic ovary syndrome. أنا سعيد إن اليوم بدي أقدم الدكتورة أريج. دكتورة أريج أنا يعني في زمان بعرفها بس I work with دكتورة أريج in الاستشاري Arab Hospital. She is a pathological assistant professor in the master program. She is the head of our pathology and clinic and laboratory centers in the Istishari Arab Hospital. She studied in Jordan University of Science and Technology, and she had a course of medicine in surgery in 1994. Then board of pathology from Hadassah Medical Center. She is professional project of management diploma from the Bethlehem University in 2015. Dr. Arij today will talk about vitamin D in Palestine, vitamin D project of her. تفضلي.
Good morning, guys. Good morning. Now, vitamin D is a story. It's a very nice story that everybody likes to know it. And whenever we are in our conferences, this debate about vitamin D is always the thing that occupies the Ministry of Health, the health professionals in Palestine. Why? First of all, I know that you hate these slides. I hate them too. But you need to look at this key slide of what and where from vitamin D comes. Now we all know that vitamin D needs the sun, and the sun needs to go to the 7-dihydroxycholesterol, which is stored in our epidermis. It is then under the UV light turned to be vitamin D that we can also take from diet. Now vitamin D3, we take it from animal sources. D2, we take it from plant sources. Then it goes to the river, where it is by 2,5-hydroxylase is transferred to another form, which is 2,25-dihydroxyvitamin D. I want only you to know. I don't want to confuse with names, but I want only you to know that vitamin D that is activated from the cholesterol in our epidermis by the UV light is not usable by our cells, okay? So it must go through the liver to get activated to a form, then it goes to the kidney to complete the activation to the active form. Now I want you just to look at the liver and the CYP2R1 and the other CYP227A1. These are names that we recognize from medical school, if you remember, when we took the metabolism of the drugs. So these two genes are involved in the synthesis of the enzyme that transfers vitamin D from the non-active form to the active form in the first step. Okay, we will come back to this. Vitamin D story in Palestine. The Ministry of Health always reports low vitamin D in the Palestinian population, and the studies are between 60 and 80% of our individuals have low vitamin D according to the international standards. Whenever you go to all the conferences and you start the discussion, the first thing that will appear in the panel, that is this number right? Is it right that more than 60% of the Palestinian population have a deficient vitamin D? And it would be yes. Why? They started to accuse the labs. In all the conferences, they started to say, no, maybe the kids are not controlled, maybe there's a misconduct, maybe the conditions that they detect vitamin D is wrong. But this did not work because the WHO and the other NGOs started to be very interested in vitamin D 10 years ago, and they started to conduct their own research, and they reported the same data. Okay? Then they started to accuse the clothing. Why? Because most of the studies were done on the females and children. I know that this is not perfectly scientific, but to get a very good grant, you must have a target group that is vulnerable and weak. So most of the grants were given to people, to researchers who want to do research on women and children. So most of the data in the literature is on women and children. So they started to accuse the Arab women, the Palestinian women, of being extensively covered, okay? So I had screenshots of scientific articles that, look, the finding can be explained by women low skin exposure due to extensive clothing. Look at this one. Wearing a hijab is most probably the cause of vitamin D deficiency, and so on. And you can repeatedly see this in every article. Extensive clothing. We are not exposed to sun. Why? Because we are a sunny country. But men also who are not exposed, they are extensively exposed in comparison, they also have a very low vitamin D. I could not really get a number from the literature that satisfies me because it's always chunks from here and there, but I did a very quick assay in our lab in Istishari Arab Hospital, where we have 1,345 samples in 1 year that perform vitamin D. 81% were deficient. From these deficiencies, 66 were men. So men also have the same findings. And observationally, everybody in the hall, every doctor knows that this is true. What's the story then? Okay. As a solution, the Ministry of Health in 2005, with the UNICEF, after all of this data, started a program, a national program of fortifying the floor, our floor, with what? With vitamin D and vitamin E and other vitamins. So they continued until 2013, and they thought that they solved the problem, okay? And in 2013, they conducted another control study, and the deficiency was still 60%. So it did not work, and the mystery was never solved. Then I had, by chance, an amazing result about vitamin D. I did not intend to do a study. It was just by chance. The story started like 1 year ago, more than 1 year ago, when I got an agency. This agency is called Anant Life. It's a Canadian company that does commercial genetic panels. So it was very, very popular in Palestine. Everybody wanted to do genetic panels for his family inherited risks of different diseases. And we started to work with this kit that target the individual, the healthy individual, for the risks of his family inherited diseases, like for example, all these cancers that are known to be very related to family as colon, breast, ovary, prostate. Then other things like autoimmune diseases, all the scientifically proved diseases that can go through familial genes. There was one panel called General Health and Wellness Panel. And this panel, anybody could do it. So if either you have a family history of any disease or not, you can just ask for the panel. And this panel goes through more than 145 genes that address your body metabolism for everything, for drugs, for diseases, for vitamins, and so on. So we did like more than 100 samples, and 85 of them did the General Health and Wellness Panel. 85 healthy individuals in Palestine took this panel that had 25 genes involved in regulating the vitamin and trace elements. From these 85 individuals, men and women, 100% had a mutation interfering with vitamin D metabolism. 100%. Everybody who did the panel had this mutation, constant, always the same. The mutation was present in the gene CYB2R1, and I will remind you, this is a screenshot of one of the reports, how it appears. To remind you, CYB2R1 is responsible for 25 hydroxylase that transfers vitamin D3 from, after being activated by the UV light, to calcifidiol, which is the 2,5-hydroxyvitamin D. So it is involved in the first step in the liver activation. If we have a mutation here, it means that the sun will not work, the food will not work, nothing can work, because you are blocking the first step, or you are blocked in the first step of activation of vitamin D in the liver. So that's why nearly everybody has low vitamin D in his blood, or it seems to be that this is the cause. This is part of the cause. The answer for people who say why it's 60, why it's 80, why it's not 100%, I mean the individuals that have low vitamin D, the answer is always that not every mutation is exclusively blocking the protein. The mutation can be in some individual, and this we did not study this yet, can be non-exclusive for blocking the protein. So although this was not meant to be a study, this was an accidental finding, but it was so interesting because it affected 100% of the individuals. I think this can really explain a lot of what we don't know about vitamin D in Palestine. And although it's a small sample, I think it's worth it because it's in everybody. And this is a very important notification for all the medical body of Palestine to recommend the active form of vitamin D, not D3 or D2 that are available in the market. By the way, from my own, as I have been the director of labs since 10 years, even the people who are taking the usual vitamin D in the market return with low vitamin D also. This is the last slide that I want just for you. I think this is very important slide for everybody who wants, even for himself, to go and get vitamin D. That you cannot take vitamin D3 or D2 supplement because they will not get activated in your body. You can get the supplement who have 25-hydroxycalcifidiol or the active form, which is 1,2,5-dihydroxyvitamin D. Dr. Muhammad always said to me, where we can find them? We can. Apparently, the very active form of vitamin D is present in the world in a commercial supplement. 25-hydroxy is available in a supplement. So just our knowledge that we have to think about this in prescribing the supplements for our patients, just go for the active ones after the liver activation. Thank you.
Yes, I need to, Dr. Prof. Solve.
This is a very interesting talk. The mutation that you described, was it a homozygous or heterozygous mutation? Because if you get homozygous mutation, then you get vitamin D-dependent rickets type 1B, which is quite a severe form of rickets. and it's very commonly seen in Saudi Arabia, and we see this in our Pakistani population in the United Kingdom. But it's a severe form of rickets. I think you probably are picking up heterozygous mutations, which are very common in the Arab populations and the South Asian populations. My other point is that I think it is wrong to actually advocate giving active forms of vitamin D. With vitamin D dependent rickets type 1B, of course you need active form of vitamin D, or you need calcifidol, which is available in France. It's not available in the UK. But I would not give active form of vitamin D to healthy people because you may get hypercalcemia and nephrocalcinosis and all the other problems. You can overcome this defect by giving higher doses of supplements. So the question is whether the Palestinians need 400 units, which is what's recommended that everybody should be taking. It may be that you need to do studies to see how much supplements this needs to be given to.
How much supplement needs to be given to the Palestinian population to maintain normal serum 25-hydroxyvitamin D, but I would certainly not advocate giving active forms of vitamin D because I think they're dangerous.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you.
First of all, yes, it is an heterozygous mutation. The other thing that I just want to address his point.
So we can,
Yes, the amazing thing, I think this is just a hint. This subject needs a lot of study, absolutely. But I want to tell you something, that we have, for all these 85% who have deficiency in this vitamin, I don't want, because it's not ethical to name the commercial company, but we have supplemented these individuals with calcitidol with vitamin D. 1 year follow-up, wonderful result. Calcium is maintained, vitamin D is up, and I need to present this in the second, maybe after 1 year.
Okay, thank you. And I have to opposite Dr. Arij in this talk because we are talking about 25 vitamin D. 25 vitamin D level not related to the gene because we are talking about deficiency of the 25 vitamin D will come from the cholesterol. So we are usually measuring in the lab 25 vitamin D. We don't measure the active form of vitamin D. And we need 25 vitamin D. We need our 25 vitamin D and let our body to make his own from the active form. So she measured a gene related to the conversion of the vitamin D to active form. And I think it is not related to the deficiency of the 25 vitamin D. We'll talk after the session, inshallah.